Something is breaking. And if you can't feel it, it's probably because you're asleep or you don't want to hear it. 6 months ago, questioning power was patriotic. Today, questioning power gets you labeled a traitor, a liberal, by your own side. You know, when Trump came back in office, people expected fire. We expected accountability. We expected exposure. We expected the people who weaponize institutions against us Americans to finally feel pressure. We expected transparency, and instead, something shifted, not all at once, but enough people started noticing that a lot of what we see is low-hanging fruit, optics, memes, and just things to appease us when really nothing's happened. The second we noticed that, though, we were told to shut up. You notice the tone with your favorite influencers, okay? Go back 6 months, maybe even 3. Influencers screaming, release the files, drain the swamp, expose them, stop wasting money, stop sending money to foreign countries. Now it's trust the plan. Oh man, we got to stay unified. The midterms are coming. Don't fracture the base. That language sounds pretty familiar. It's the same language every political machine uses once it's inside the system. And that should make every American uncomfortable. We were told we were going to get accountability for these people from the coup, the pandemic, whenever the whole country was shut down. Prices skyrocketed. They never came down since then. I was looking at some charts this morning. Matter of fact, they went higher by 2%. Cost of living. Nothing's went down. We were told last night that it had, but it has not. Now, under Biden, it spiked like 30% because of the pandemic era. You think greedy companies are going to ever come back down from that? No, absolutely not. Most of them are in bed with all politicians. We've got no justice from the files. Now it's happening overseas in other countries, which is pretty alarming. In the UK, of all places. Pretty weird. This week, we had Dan Bongino just go off. I'm going to play the clip in a moment, but Trump brought him into the cabinet. You know, he was an influencer like the rest of them. Admin full of influencers. He stated all these things before that he was going to do this, and then he's there and nothing. He doesn't do anything, and he quits. Okay. Now, I'm going to play the clip. If you got kids in the room, send them out because he uses some pretty foul. He's dropping F-bombs constantly out the gate. And if you don't want to hear it, just go ahead and stop the video right here. Fast forward a little bit. But here he is.
You. Fuck you. Fuck you. Go fuck yourself. You demonic.
So let me preface this. What he's initially talking about here is people coming after Erica Kirk. Now, we could talk about that. TPUSA. It seems very a stark contrast to when Charlie Kirk was running it. A lot of the ideologies have changed and so on. And you know, Charlie, the messages that I saw of Charlie is a stark contrast from what Charlie. So there's oddities there that we can question. I've made content on it. But the thing is that as an American, when you see these oddities and you want to question these things, it's an American thing to do. We have freedom of speech. And regardless of whatever you think, if you want to shut down speech because you don't like it, you're no better than the enemy. Freedom of speech is speech you don't like, period. Anyway, he's going off the rails.
Fucking scum. For as much as I hate what just happened, I wish ill on no one, and everyone should restrain their emotions from the other side because they are not on our side.
He's saying essentially, you know, he's been saying this since he came back from the government. He's been calling people truth seekers black pillars, okay? Black pill, saying that we're not trusting the plan, the process, and that we're questioning everything, which is the American thing to do, by the way. He's saying that essentially anyone who is not on their knees for the current administration, no matter what they do, if it's the 600,000 Chinese they bring in, if it's, giving Qatar a military base here, if it's giving more money to Ukraine, which we're supposed to stop, giving billions to our chosen ally, and so on. If we say anything about those sort of things, we are wrong. And so he's basically saying he doesn't want you watching.
Everyone. Once you go down the road of violence, there's no turning back. There's always someone stronger than you, man. Always. There's a whole lot of people stronger than me. But I'm sorry if the language distracts from you, but I can think of no other New York way to say it than fuck you, mother.
Wouldn't you love to see this much passion coming from this man, essentially declaring that we need to have justice for these young children that were trafficked and these elites brought to justice? Wouldn't you like to see that sort of passion? But no, not for that. Maybe to stop the government waste. Not for that. No.
Fuckers. You deserve to feel the little licks of the flames of hell on every inch of your body. Fuck you. If there's an afterlife.
He says, if there's an afterlife. As a follower of Jesus Christ, I know there's an afterlife. I would never say if there's an afterlife. So has he been putting on a show this whole time? Because then he says he believes in, he does believe there is. But why would you say that to begin with? I would never say that to begin with.
Oh, and I believe there is. I believe in the second creation. I don't pretend to be the judge and jury.
Yeah, because you're commanded not to be. Strange, but let me say this. So the thing about Dan is that Dan came back and he got a lot of views because maybe a lot of people thought he was going to expose what had been happening, but he didn't. He came in defending. Now, if we look at his chart here, his views have been freaking declining terribly since relaunch. Okay. So I truly think that message was meant for those folks that are asking questions. We're tired of it. We're tired of it. And again, the issue was not that he was angry, although I've been angry and hadn't dropped F-bombs like that. The issue is what he was angry at. The audience, people asking questions, people saying, hey, what happened to that investigation? Maybe Tyler Robinson not seen with a rifle. Maybe we should ask more questions. Why wasn't he saying, hey, man, why is this spending still happening? Why are we escalating in these foreign countries? And the response of his isn't a debate. It's labeling, black pillar, traitor. You're undermining the movement, the midterms. When did skepticism become betrayal? And that's the fracture. Even so much so, he's been attacking Candace Owens. A lot of people have. This gentleman here, Matt Wallace, says, full disclosure, I was offered money today to say bad things about Candace Owens and turned it down. So people are funding to try to shut down folks that are asking questions. Candace Owens is asking questions. Whether you like what she says or not, she's asking questions. And she has the right to her opinion. It's so crazy to me that conservatives during the Biden administration was saying free speech, this and that. But now when the free speech, they don't like it, they want to shut it down. They're the same. I call them radicals, no matter if they're left or right. They're the same. They're the same type of personality. They'll defend their beliefs and their identity to the death. Right now, there are two camps forming. Shut up, stay aligned, don't question. Camp 2 is don't be blind. Maybe you even still support what the administration is doing, but you're not blind. You can be in Camp 2 and not be anti-Trump even. Camp 2 is anti-obedience. And that's what's making these people nervous, because obedience is easy. Critical thinking is destabilizing. And that's what you're seeing. You're seeing a complete break in the cycle. I see these influencers like Benny Johnson, man. Dude, David Harris Jr. used to mention the e-files constantly. He made merch to sell. That dude won't even touch it now. He was told, don't talk about that. Officer Tatum used to too. Won't talk about that. Officer Tatum is now gone full blown against Tucker Carlson. Tucker's not MAGA. And defending the chosen ally like it's his birthright. These influencers are twitching around like Karine Jean-Pierre used to, trying to defend all the craziness during the Biden administration. You remember that? And you would think, man, you remember this guy? They investigated and raided a literal squirrel before a single person on the e-file list, right? And anyone who opposes, they make claims. All their Russian propagandists, they're paid by Qatar and so on. Tucker Carlson had Mike Huckabee on. They kind of went back and forth. Mike Huckabee later that day said he doesn't even recognize Tucker Carlson. You know why? Because Tucker Carlson is asking questions. Check out this clip here.
Really not treated well in Israel. That's just simply, that's a lie.
Well, there are lots
It is a lie.
There are lots of different.
There were 34,000 Christians in Israel in 1948. There are 184,000 Christians here today.
And by Israel, what are you counting?
You talking about the land?
What territory are you counting?
I'm talking about
Israel proper? Or are you counting
talking about Israel
the West
proper.
Bank as well and Gaza? I mean, what do you, when you say Israel, those numbers apply to what landmass?
It would be in Israel proper.
Okay.
There are 184,000. Now, I'll tell you where Christians are not doing very well. They're not doing very well in the Muslim-controlled countries. There's almost no Christians in Qatar, for example, except those who live in the Christian ghetto, who are the service workers.
I'm sorry.
Can't
Look,
pray.
I don't want to argue with you. There are many more Christians in Qatar than there are in Israel.
That's
So
not true.
what it actually is true. And I refer you to Wikipedia, Mr. Ambassador.
Wikipedia,
I refer you to the government of Qatar, the government of Israel. These are knowable facts. Like
in Jordan,
by the way,
numbers are down. In Syria, the numbers are down. In Lebanon, the numbers are down. I'm just telling you that
about twice as many Christians.
But they live in
hold
the
on.
enclave. They are not native Qataris.
Okay, we're mixing so many different categories
Yeah.
here. I'm just saying I get things wrong all the time. You've just gotten.
So we see the fracture happening. And they say he's paid by Qatar, but man, who took the jet from Qatar? Who's building a freaking golf course, or not? I think it's a golf course. It's a Trump resort coming to Qatar. Yeah. Who's taking money from Qatar? You know, it's because people expected some things. They expected transparency, e-files, massive spending cuts. Remember, Doge uncovered all this money. You were going to get a $5,000 Doge check. Crickets. The tariff checks just came out. FedEx came out, and this is funny. FedEx just came out and said, "Hey, guys, we're going to have to sue the government to get the tariffs back." And they said the tariff went to the end consumer. It was not the companies, as I've been saying. That is the headlines. The reason why I know that for fact is because I had something shipped in. I needed this mold made for something. And it was pretty expensive, and I had to pay a $500 tariff on it. I think it came from Sweden or Switzerland, one of those places. I had to pay a $500 tariff on it. The thing was like freaking $200. I had to pay a $500 tariff, like $458. The company didn't pay that. The American manufacturer, this manufacturer overseas, tariffs were supposed to bring them back. It didn't. We just paid the tariff. It's an additional tax. So any money that was promised to you has now been taken. I see guys talking about Doge checks still not coming, tariff checks coming, not coming, the oil from Venezuela not coming. You're not getting that. We were told big pharma pressure. Nope. They're making deals. No big agricultural reform at all. I could do a whole video on that. They're still poisoning us. Foreign entanglement reduction, not happening. Matter of fact, your sons and daughters may be on the ground of Iran here in a few weeks. We thought there'd be structural change. I remember hearing something Trump saying about totally dismantling the IRS and tariffs would take over. Not happening. Instead, what do we have? The border is tighter. Good. It's a good thing. Should have been. But spending still massive. Foreign tension still simmering. Surveillance and infrastructure is expanding, thanks to Palantir and Peter Thiel, who really is one of the ones that's running the country at the moment. And the certain conversations we wanted, they just disappeared. Zero closure, zero resolution, just silence. And that ain't freaking conspiracy chatter. It's called pattern recognition. And here's the psychology. If your brand is built on defending a movement, and that movement starts making decisions that look establishment adjacent, you're in a bind. You're either admit the tension, ignore it, or attack the people that's pointing it out, like Dan Bongino did. What we're seeing is a lot of C. Attack the people pointing it out. Call them names. Label your audience. Then to wrestle with the contradictions. Contradictions are what fracture movements. Do what you say. I'm sure a lot of your grandfathers told you that. Be a man of your word. Last night at the State of the Union, Thomas Massey even sat with Democrats because he just can't have it. Now he's a libertarian. Would I have done that? I don't know. I probably just wouldn't have showed up. It's not about left versus right anymore. I wish people would get that out of their mind. I believe the same. I did. Go watch my freaking videos from a year or two ago. This pattern exists everywhere, guys. Left-wing movements do it. Right-wing movements do it. Once power is consolidated, criticism becomes inconvenient. When criticism becomes inconvenient, it gets reframed as you're dangerous. And that ain't partisan. That's human nature mixed with power. And if you think your side is immune to that, then you're naive, period. And I know a lot of guys are wrestling because they identify with it. Look, you can still support your leader and still demand transparency. It doesn't have to be one way or the other. You don't have to support everything your leader's doing. Trust me, guys that were in the military under the Biden administration, you think they supported what was happening? The Afghan withdrawal? No, but they still serve their country. You can like parts of the policy, like shutting down the border, and you can question other parts. You can want unity without wanting to be blind. If someone tells you you're not allowed to ask that, that's not conservatism, that's control. It goes totally against the First Amendment. And movements that start policing internal thought, they don't get stronger, they get fragile, they get tyrannical. What do you think happened whenever they were shutting down platforms for asking about that COOF? Now, if we zoom out, this isn't some political podcast rant. Okay, it's not. There's a lot of things going on, and it's surveillance, huge. Surveillance tech is expanding. Data integration is expanding. AI predictive modeling is expanding. It's not going away. I did a whole video on this. Government contracts with private tech firms are expanding. A lot of them are in bed with each other. And that's happening regardless of who sits in the Oval Office. Infrastructure keeps growing and it's quiet. That's how real power is going to consolidate. Not with fireworks, but with systems. It's why I do what I do, guys. And I sent out an email this morning. If you're not on the email list, you need to be there. Go sign up for the email list. I give a lot of instructional on various different survival, escape and evasion, tech, and so on. I sent out one today, something I come across a while back, and it's a pretty reasonable thing. One, if you don't have a Faraday bag, I highly suggest it. We sell them. These are high quality. We barely make $1 on it because I cut the price so low that everybody can afford it. I think they're like $29, but essentially it's large enough to throw all your tech in there. So it does two things. One, it protects from an EMP, right? Has this Velcro here, lined. You can put your cell phones in here, your whole family's cell phones. I keep one of these in my day-to-day man bag that I carry every day. So in case I need to freaking go ghost, throw my cell phone in there. Definitely recommend that. I keep some with my night vision goggles and so on. So because in case the EMP happens, grid goes down, I want to be able to see and keep my optics in there and so on. But the other thing I came across is why I operate differently. Compartmentalized devices, hardened operating systems, secondary communications. Now I have normal cell phones. I practice dental hygiene, not because I think apocalypse is coming tomorrow, but because I understand history and I understand governments expand, technology expands, and data centralizes. And the people who question power, they're the ones who get indexed first. We know that. You get put on lists. I'm sure I'm on one. And if you believe in decentralization and constitutional protections, act like it. Don't panic. Prepare. Okay. So the other thing I was going to mention, I sent an email about this morning, is something called a ghost phone. I partnered with these folks a while back, Ghost Phone. They use the Google Reasonable Phone. This thing uses Graphene OS, military type platform. It's totally untraceable, off the grid communication. It's something you just throw a SIM card in here and you can operate. You can't be tracked, surveilled, or none of that sort of stuff. Then you keep that in your bag here. But this is one of my, in my PACE plan, primary alternate contingency emergency, something I use whenever I don't want to be surveilled. Okay. You off-grid comms. And anyway, again, reasonable price. I'll put the link below. Ghost Phone is the one who makes it. But again, I'll put the link below if you want to operate smarter in a world that's tightening. If not, then that's on you. Here's the reality. Movements don't die, guys, because the enemy attacks. They die because internal questioning gets suffocated. They die because loyalty becomes louder than truth. They die because influencers start protecting access instead of principles. They protect the people running the country and not keeping their leadership accountable. And if asking questions makes you uncomfortable, good. Growth is uncomfortable. You think I like talking bad about the guy I've been ramping up for years, questioning what he's doing? A lot of people would say, oh man, you're all over the damn place. That's because I was awakened. And if demanding transparency gets me labeled, I'll wear it. Never outsource your skepticism. Not to me. Don't even give it to me, not to them, not to anyone. Because the second you stop questioning power, you stop being free. And that's the real split that's happening right now. That's why you see these black pillars struggling. The Dow was up 50 points, 50,000 points, whatever it was. It's crazy. And you guys, stay frosty, stay strapped, stay dangerous. Go get you a ghost phone and the very minimum a Faraday bag. You're living in 2026, guys. This is, look, having all the other gear is good, but you're constantly communicating. You're constantly being surveilled. Get ahead of it. Stay frosty, stay strapped, stay dangerous. Black Scout.